So I'm going to be honest here, episode 10, A Seraph of the End, season 2, it was pretty much, I want to say, almost like, not a boring episode, but obviously it was, a bit slow. The only real important thing that happened was, Mika becoming a full vampire, and also seeing him struggle, for his humanity, so much. That right there was like very admirable, but obviously he had no choice but to finally give in to those urges. And even though I've been wanting him to just go crazy and drink off a human, already, I am definitely, not that upset that you was the one who actually made him become, a full vampire. But this episode, just like the episode name implied, it revolved around you and Mika. But we see that in the beginning, we have Shinya. We saw him fight off, these two fodder vampires, and we see now that apparently, that the demon army, they were going to retreat now to this airport because apparently they had, these choppers that would, carry them off to safety. But we see now that when everybody, had ran off, Narumi, who we all know the Trident guy, he was just standing there because obviously two of his friends just died before him. And so obviously in shock, he was like looking at their bodies, but Shinya, Shinya had to bring him back, and that made him punch him in the face, to bring him back to his senses. And now that they left those two dead bodies behind, I do wonder if the vampires will take them and possibly, bring them back maybe as vampires. Now I get that right there is a stretch, but why else would they, focus on those bodies for a long time, especially if these characters are dead? They should have been irrelevant as soon as they died. But no, we saw them, for a while now, even when Shinya and Narumi had, left them behind. So I do wonder if maybe the vampires will convert them and bring them back some way, and if possible, we could see Narumi having to fight his former comrades. But we see now Mika, who was badly hurt, he was still carrying you, and all you see was the trail of blood, because Mika, got so beat up by the army, last week, that I'm surprised he was able to carry, you so far. But we see now that he wanted you to wake up, because obviously he had things that he wanted to talk to him about. But we see now that when you was not waking up, Mika had heard something, and at first I didn't hear it till they showed, some little boy who was trying to hide. But eventually now this little kid got so scared that he eventually ran back inside to some rundown grocery store now, and we see Mika here had ran after him. And so eventually Mika actually got this boy by the neck and was holding him down. Eventually this boy, he was calling out to the other kids who were there as well so that they could possibly help him. And then we have one kid who actually reminds me of you, appearance wise back then. And we see that he was the first one who ran off, and eventually he told the other to come as well. And so they pretty much abandoned this boy, leaving him at Mika's mercy. And we see now, once again, Mika was breaking down and about to drink this little boy blood when this boy had called him a monster, and that right there kind of brought Mika back to his senses and made him, let go of the boy, and obviously he ran off. But I'm surprised that little kid would go back, especially after, his so-called friends abandoned him. But obviously, in this world, it's definitely, survival comes first. So I definitely, can't blame him for going back. But I do wonder just how long can those little kids last. But now we have Mika, going back, and we see him now, dragging you into the store as well. But obviously Mika was keeping his distance because he was definitely losing control over himself. And so now going back into Yu's mind, we see him talking to his demon once again. And now we see that this demon definitely knows Yu is a very broken person, because he sees no right or wrong when it comes to protecting his family. But at the same time, that right there allows her to feed off all the desire and I guess love as well that she wants to, so that way she can give Yu power. And so now what you said is that another family member has come to like visit you today. You know, we see him waking up, and at first all he sees is like a vampire. And so now, you know, so he's definitely on high alert, and we even see him now, you know, drawing his sword. But eventually now, you know, we have him approaching Mika, and when he got closer, recognized him and called him out. You know, Mika kind of went into like went into like a craze, you know, frenzy, because we have him, you know, showing off this great agility, where we have him, you know, not only forcing you to move back, but we see him now, you know, disarming him as well, and about to, like, you know, drink his blood. But then we have, you know, then we have Mika saying that like he had wanted blood so much because he was like suffering without it, and you was like, you know, he's suffering like that because you had like left him alone. And that right there, you know, kind of like, you know, brought Mika back. But we see for a while now that like Mika, he was definitely struggling, and at the same time he was like dying as well, because we see that with all the injuries, and of course he not have any blood to drink in a while. You know, we see that right there was like taking a toll on his body, and we see now that Mika, he was like even willing to die, you know, and not drink you blood, even though you was like so willing, because at first he was like going to let him drink it, as we saw him open up his uniform some, but Mika was like still, you know, resisting, because once he drinks human blood, there is no going back. He will always be a vampire. And so we see now that, you know, Mika, you know, like being a hybrid was definitely not easy, because we see now that these urges, you know, like whenever he got them, they just caused him to suffer so much. And we see now that like he actually, you know, gave Mika no choice, where he like pushed him over the edge, where he like took his own sword. And we have you know, cutting his arm, and all you see is the blood now coming from that wound, and we see it now dropping to the floor. And Mika even Mika knew that, you know, he had no choice but to now give in. And so now we see that when Mika eventually did, you know, drink some of you blood, you know, all we see now is like his eyes slowly turn red, which means he is fully, you know, a vampire. And so right now, after they had talked some more, we have you eventually leaving, as he wanted to go save his family, and we see now that like Mika, you know, was like trying so hard, you know, to actually talk to him, but you know, you was like pretty much ignoring him. And so eventually, when they left the store and was like walking along, you know, this little road that was like covered in snow, you know, you was like asking if he knew where they were, or, you know, or to help him save, like to save his family. And so at first, you know, Mika was like definitely against it, because all he wants to do is protect you. And we even see Mika at one point pull out his own sword, and we see that, you know, you was like, are you really pointing that sword at me, you know, your family? But Mika was like, I'm doing anything to protect you. And so, of course, now when Mika realized just how close, you know, you and his new family are, you know, we have Mika actually agreeing to save them, but only those four, you know, obviously, you know, Shinowa, Mitsuba, Yoji, and Kimi. And so right now you hear this guy like freaking, you know, excited. But right now they still, you know, some Jeep or so, where we don't see that, but all we see is them driving, you know, along the road now. And so we see that while they were driving, you know, you here gives Mika, you know, the chance, you know, to talk to him about what he wanted to talk about. And so right now, you know, we have Mika telling him that, you know, that they were like, that they both were test subjects for human experiments, that the orphanage that they were in, you know, was like behind that, and they were kind of like responsible for almost killing, you know, the human race, because we learn now that the orphanage who experimented on them, they were eventually taken over by the demon company. And I'm pretty sure that right there was like obvious, but obviously it was definitely to hear that. And so pretty much, we had Mika, asking you, let's run away together, let's hide away from the humans and the vampires because they are after, you as well, because he had the power, Seraph of the End, which we all know is a show title. And so right now, you here, his character has changed a lot because he is definitely a realist because, times like this where Mika, asks him to run away in the past, it was just like, in the first episode where him and the family had ran off just to be killed. And you was like, and you brought that up saying that there is no paradise, there is no place to hide anymore. And you was like definitely being real about it. He was definitely, not getting Mika hopes up. And so right now that while they were going there, we see now that our characters who had eventually arrived now at the airport, we saw that there were no choppers waiting for them. And so I'm thinking now that maybe Kureto had possibly set them up, or maybe he actually abandoned them to die, which of course will be, very messed up. And speaking of Kureto, we see him now at the end of the episode, conducting some kind of human experiment. And we see now that the test subject for that, it was actually Kimmy's sister. And so right now, Kureto is definitely on my shit list. He's like right up on top because it's just so messed up how far he's going. And so I do wonder if the other, if the other child that we saw a few episodes ago that they were, experimenting on, I do also wonder if that right there was also, Kimmy's sister, or if possible that right there was like another child that we know or possibly seen before. But like I said, the important part of the episode was definitely, Mika's, determination for being a human to a wolf vampire. And of course now seeing that, Kimmy's sister is now being a test subject. And of course we see like some kind of markings on her body. And so I do wonder, what will happen when Kimmy, finds out about this. Is it possible that like maybe him and Gurren and possibly everybody else will like work together to either kill Kureto or possibly overthrow him? Overall for episode, it was okay-ish, like only two good things I won't say happened or like very important, aside the rest of it. But of course, let me know what you guys thought, and don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps me out. But as always, you guys take it easy. I will see you all next time.